So since Francis left and came back, the Warriors still haven't lost a basketball game.
That should be the #1 tweet. Like, everyone likes to reference all different stats and times past.
Since he
should be like, since I left, which has been around 2.5, 3 weeks.
Yeah, it's been a while.
What about me? I sat at home. I did nothing for three weeks.
Did you see how many people I've had to have on just to get to here?
Just to get to this moment.
All of them, not you.
I loved the full breakdown of what I was actually doing in Uganda, like all the guesses.
What do you mean? There was 2 answers. There was the very inappropriate, you were giving AIDS to everybody, and then the more appropriate, you were curing AIDS for everybody.
I'm sure the second one was a response to the first one. Yeah, it was a cool trip. Got up to a few things that I will be able to explain more details. Once again, I'm still not allowed to explain details. But then I went to Cabo, can explain details of that. Right. I ate all of the food that I didn't eat in Uganda because I didn't eat a lot of food. But in Mexico, man, there is truly the moment when you're eating chips, salsa, and guac where you don't know if you're ever going to stop.
Because they keep bringing them to you.
Yeah, they feed into it, but your mindset is always like, this is it. I'm eating myself into a coma. I'm never going to stop this.
Mexico's
great. Every time it's like, nope. Oh yeah.
It's a very. I mean, there's some nice pictures circulating the social media. Looks like some nice pools that we were in, getting cooled off because it is hot.
Very
hot.
I got sunburnt. Yes,
in Mexico. But save some of these because we're going to do a big whole World Football Q&A because you missed, and I just want to hear your reactions to a lot of that in a clip that will be going up at some point today or tomorrow. And also you'll be sharing a story about an insect that you shared with me this morning, which has still made me feel very, very uncomfortable. In terms of the Warriors, there's really not all that much to say. We know that Zaza Pachulia's, again, dirty play on Kawhi Leonard. Were you here for that? No,
I watched the highlights again. Yeah.
So he undercuts, he came underneath the Kawhi as he was coming down, and was it a dirty play? I think so. Is it being blown out of proportion? Of course it is, like everything else in sports media. Regardless, without Kawhi Leonard, the Warriors get a little bit lucky. They didn't have to play the hardest road to the Western cut to the finals, but like we've always said, they just play who's in front of them until Kawhi Leonard gets injured. So 12-0, the first team to do that since the Los Angeles Lakers in 2001. Do you know who stopped them and made them 16-1 that finals year? Happens to be Allen Iverson. He stepped over Tyronn Lue in that game, and no one thought that, of all people, could AI beat the Lakers? Well, at one point we actually thought after game 1, what if they lose?
Yeah.
So that's what what do you want from the game itself? The net rating for the Warriors is like plus 20,000. They've been beating their teams by a combined total point differential. It's like their point differential is the same as the goal differential for Real Madrid. It's like 181. No, that's exaggeration for the world of football, but still, it's a fair comparison. And the Cavs, I would think, don't count out the Celtics to make it a 2-2 series, but I think the Cavs will take care of business tonight, and we head to it. But Francis, did you know Zaza Pachulia is getting death threats?
Oh, he is?
Death threats.
Wouldn't surprise me. I mean, Popovich himself, we know he's very outspoken, but I did catch the interview after the initial reaction to it, and he wasn't happy. I mean, he wasn't happy with he was very clear, like the questions were asked, how is your team going to respond to this? It's a very obvious question. You lose your best player, your chances immediately diminish. That's what happens. But it doesn't surprise me. Fans are going to look to try and vent any way possible to try and explain why they're so upset. With Kawhi, obviously they've got a better chance, but I still fancy the Warriors regardless. I fancied the Warriors ever since I've seen them game 4 against the Portland Trailblazers, when I just thought to myself, this team, when they start that ferociously and then maintain that standard and that intensity, it's going to take something real special to beat them. The Cavaliers were immediately in the same bracket until they drop a game against the Celtics, and everyone goes, what could happen?
Flip? I thought that was unbelievable. It was like they're both 10-0, right?
Yeah.
Or 10-0, 11-0 in the playoffs, and everyone's thinking, I mean, we're talking about the Cavs in 6. And then they lose a game, and immediately the narrative goes, oh, Warriors at 4. Warriors at 4. Warriors at 3.
And I was sitting in a bar watching the Celtics Cavs game, and then I went
eating chips and salsa.
Yeah, eating chips and salsa. And then when I came back, it was a full segment dedicated to the fact that LeBron James had 11 points or something like that, and he went 0 for whatever from the third quarter onwards, and it was just like full segment breaking down that specific moment in that game, regardless of the fact that the guy was playing his best basketball of his career throughout the playoffs. Like that overshadows everything in that one game. Not mentioning, it should be a full segment about how Avery Bradley had ice in his veins from the last.
And Marcus Smart
and Marcus Smart also. That should be your focus of the segment, not just the fact that LeBron James didn't play well. He's not going to play that intensity at that standard every single game. But it's always so fascinating to me that American mainstream media, it's almost like they treat LeBron almost the way they treat Trump. It's just like they're going to capitalize on it regardless. Even if he doesn't have a good game, they're going to zone in on every single facet of what made that game bad for him, rather than look at the fact that, he actually was up against an opponent, a team that deserves some credit.
There's been two like major, there's been two different kind of arguments so far through the playoffs when it comes to LeBron James, like the narratives that have followed. Like if in the Fox Sports area of concern, they're actually making it out like Michael Jordan was overrated. And that's not their intention, because they talk so, what's the word? Greatly. Highly, thank you. Oh my God.
But it's a word high, like
great,
you add the lead to it.
I say this with great surety. They put it out there that like LeBron James is show me something that Michael Jordan's done better than LeBron James without saying 6 rings. Well, I mean, guys, it's how short, I mean, come on. Michael Jordan was a terrific basketball player. And if he's not #1 all time, then guess what? He's #2 all time. So, and then there's the other thought, which is LeBron didn't score for 16 straight minutes. Michael Jordan's never done that ever. It's like, okay, we're complaining about the two greatest players, I think, in the history of basketball. No disrespect to Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Could we just come to a middle ground and just both say, hey, according to Reddit, they're both good at basketball.
Yeah, exactly.
Be happy what you're watching. And you're fair to criticize LeBron in that last 16 minutes. Did not play well. But don't take it away from Marcus Smart to be the guy who finally got hot from 3.
Yeah.
In the Warriors sense, it's the same two-way, or I should say not two-way, like one-way road. In the Warriors sense, it's the whole narrative is, well, if they win, don't forget they stole Kevin Durant from the Oklahoma City Thunder. What does the ring mean? It doesn't mean anything because they had Kevin Durant. It gets an asterisk because it got Kevin Durant. It gets an asterisk because they didn't have to play the Rockets. They had to play the Blazers. It gets an asterisk because they didn't have to play a healthy Clippers. They had to play the Utah Jazz. And in those two instances, they're playing who's in front of them. And you could have won. Look, if you wanted to do that, get the #1 seed in the Western Conference. I know that's a lot easier said than done. The Warriors haven't really lost many basketball games. Actually won over, I think, the last 2 months of play, which is pretty ridiculous. But so yeah, I understand the hate for the Warriors. Zaza's plays did not help that camp. But we're gonna get Warriors Cavs. The playoffs have been pretty bad. The Celtics injected some life into the NBA playoffs, as I said yesterday in the clip. And hey, maybe it's 2-2 going back to Boston. But I think the bigger overall picture here is, if you think LeBron James is going to play like he did in the last 16 minutes, pretty much at any long stretch like that over a game in the next 5-6 games, you're a crazy person. LeBron's actually historically been one of the better bounce back players in the NBA. So
I'm sure he uses the fuel of the fact that everyone will be commenting on that relentlessly to bounce back and make sure that he
You know what it's like? It's like meeting Smaug and then picking up a spear, Smaug the dragon from The Hobbit, and just while he's sleeping, just shoving it in his nose. Be like, let's just piss off the dragon a little bit. I know he's talking to me.
The Benedict Cumberbatch.
Well, yeah, exactly. I like that movie. But let's just poke the bear
and see what happens.
Poke the dragon.
But I am excited for what I imagine will be an inevitable Golden State Warriors Cavaliers final. I haven't been impressed with. The most exciting series I thought was Clippers Jazz. I actually thought it was pretty interesting. I mean, that was just because you know that even if the Clippers do manage to get somewhat of an extended lead, you're due for an exciting finale because they'll blow at some point. No shade to be throwing it down. I'm sure it's already taken a lot of shade already from the Clippers. But that was the last time I was here because the Clippers were
in the playoffs.
Well, just about to go out. So I've had a lot to catch up on. A lot.
You've been gone. When did you leave?
8th of May.
Where are we? What year are we in?
23rd. When I landed back in Los Angeles after the initial trip to Uganda, before I went on to Mexico for vacation, I know people over-exaggerate. I had no idea what day it was and no idea what time zone I was in.
Did you see Guardians of the Galaxy, the first one, or the second one?
I haven't seen the second one.
Are you aware of any of the characters? Oh, you saw the first one?
Chris
Right,
Pratt's
okay. Yeah, so you're
Scottish girl, ginger hair.
What you missed is Griffin's new name is Baby Groot.
I dig it. Look at him shaking his head. And by the way, I'm so glad to be back. Ryan Sandberg's still here. He will never leave. I'm glad he's still here.
Who's Ryan Sandberg?
Come on, Jason. There can only be one Ryan Sandberg. And I like how he's moved to my side now. He used to be on yours.
That's fair.
But he's still holding down the fort. Thanks, Ryan.